I think it's safe to say that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is the undisputed master of scuffing friendly interviews. It doesn't matter what you do as an interviewer to make him look good. You can lob the ball at him as slowly as humanly possible, and that boy's not connecting with the ball. He cannot answer easy questions to make himself look good. It's hilarious to watch. And now Justin Trudeau is on this very strange YouTube media tour where instead of going on to mainstream news shows, he's now going on to the YouTube channels of these tiny advocacy groups, because even the legacy media these days are asking him decently tough questions because they have to, because they would lose all of their credibility unless they ask him and some of his cabinet ministers some critical questions about their failing agenda and bad election results. So now Justin Trudeau is going to turn his back on CBC, CTV News, CP24, and all the rest of the news agencies he subsidizes. And he's turning to advocacy organizations where I'm not sure if the government subsidizes them, but it seems that way based on how friendly they are to Justin Trudeau. But even in this one interview I found that's absolutely hilarious, with Generation Squeeze, which is this ridiculous affordability, intergenerational fairness organization, it doesn't matter how hard the interviewer is trying to lick Justin Trudeau's feet, just make him look good as possible. I'm not obviously going to show you a lot of this interview. It's like 33 minutes. The first 7 minutes is just the interviewer gushing about how great Justin Trudeau is and how great Budget 2024 is. Objectively, the least popular budget his government has ever released. Justin Trudeau somehow hangs himself during this interview. Justin Trudeau starts opening fire during the interview on Justin Trudeau. He keeps describing all the problems with the country and keeps saying that we do a terrible job at this and we do a terrible job at that, not realizing that he's critiquing himself. It's not even, it's hard for me to even, it sounds like I'm being, like I'm exaggerating, and that Justin Trudeau must have just said, you know, we have problems in Canada. He literally says that we are bad at getting affordable housing in this country, and then moves on to not even understand that that is a shot across his own bow. But check this out. But before I get into the video, I do need to comment on the guy sitting behind it, Justin Trudeau, and the interviewer. Hopefully I don't get in trouble with this. I don't know why. I don't know what this guy was wearing during this interview, but he had a purse with him and he had these like women's shoes on, and he's like this giant eyesore during the interview. But without further ado, I wouldn't have forgiven myself unless I noted that very distracting gentleman in the background. Here's Justin Trudeau attacking himself.
And I tend to think that if we were a country that did a better job in helping people plan for retirement, in better pensions, so there wouldn't be that massive gap in terms of people who rent, throughout their lives. Like there are lots of cities around the world where people just accept that they're going to rent their entire lives, but they're not feeling they're going to be impoverished in retirement.
Does he not say those things and realize that maybe it's me and my liberal government that's been in power for 9 years that might have made it so that Canadians don't feel like they can actually save, and if they needed to, they could rent forever comfortably? Maybe that's the problem with the system that you've constructed. But Justin Trudeau likes to do this sort of thing where he's a very small prime minister in his head. He's doing as best a job as he can, but he's a very small, not powerful man. So he's sitting there just trying to do his best while Canada is failing. Canada's failing, but he's not. We do a bad job, but he's not meaning we as in the Liberal government. He's meaning like a collective, all of us over here are bad at it. That's just him attacking himself, but he doesn't get it, because Justin Trudeau has an inability to understand that criticism can apply to him. So when he says we, he assumes that you're dumb enough to think about it in the same way he does, and assume that, yeah, I guess as a country, us maple leaf people are not very good at allowing people to save for retirement and, invest in their futures and have like pensions that can pay for their like later life. That's you. That's literally you. And somehow he doesn't get it at all.
Well, other people who rent in Canada feel like they have a big piece of a nest egg that's simply not there because they've been renters all their lives. There's a challenge there that I think elements of policy solutions. But the big thing is we just have to.
There might be some policy solutions to this problem. As the prime minister of this country, I think that these issues might have a policy solution to them. I can tell you right now, the policy solution is lowering immigration. If you're wondering why there's not enough people for homes, it might be because we are only building 230,000 homes a year, and that's not even a bad figure. That's a pretty good amount of houses per year. But maybe it's the problem that we build that many houses, but then we let in more than 1.2 million people into the country in the year 2023, and now 2024 might be even higher. And I'm going to just take a sidestep away from this interview for a second, just to talk about the organization that's hosting this interview, Generation Squeeze. On their website, I went to their affordability section, affordability for housing section. And in this very, very long website page of just talking about all the different policy solutions that they've thought of for this issue, all the different ways of having greater generational fairness in housing, at no point do they use the word immigration. They do not. This is why Justin Trudeau is sitting down with them, because they are fully in the tank for his big government vision for how solutions should be solved in Canada. They like immigration. The only time they use the word like immigration, they say immigrants, because they're sympathizing with new Canadians not being able to afford houses. And so we need to solve that by forcing the government to purchase houses for people, or capping rents, or basically having the government just construct affordable housing, or buying old houses off the market and then having them then resold to younger Canadians at low prices. This is what the entire organization stands for. Big government, effectively socialist solutions to housing. Nothing about immigration, because they don't actually care about the country. So they don't care if immigration's a drag on wages and inflating prices all across the board. They only care about socialist big government issues. And actually, immigration is forcing these to become bigger issues, which might give them the window to then pitch their socialist solutions. So they actually don't want immigration lowered, because if it was lowered, housing, job growth, this stuff wouldn't be a crisis. But here I'm going to get back to Justin Trudeau now, pretending that there might be a policy solution to this. I'm not sure about that. Well, a Prime Minister of Canada, a policy solution, ridiculous.
Slow down on the speculation, right? I mean, housing prices and value should increase over a lifetime.
So guys, it's the speculators' fault that housing prices are going up, not the increased artificial demand from immigration. It's the speculators' fault, because they're just being dirty capitalists and not letting younger Canadians have affordable housing.
But you shouldn't be able to flip a home 8 years later and have it double the price, right? I mean, there's
he just admitted there that housing has doubled in price since he became prime minister. You can't make this stuff up. He knows how bad the problem is. He's articulating it, and yet he still cannot pin the tail on the donkey that is Justin Trudeau. He knows that there's someone out there causing these problems, but he doesn't know who it is. But he's going to get to the bottom of it.
Something unsustainable, and it moves housing into an investment vehicle rather than a vehicle for supporting a family and building a community around it. And as soon as it's an investment vehicle, you have people who have money using it as a way of generating more, as opposed to saying, okay, everyone should have an opportunity to do this.
So we would, if immigration wasn't so high. I feel like a broken record even mentioning it, but that's the solution. But he's pretending like it's capitalism's fault that the conditions that he's created are not accruing to everybody's benefit. So he's created a horrible situation, and it's capitalism's fault for not deciding to just give out free houses to make up for the horrible circumstances that Justin Trudeau has plunged us all into. And now here's the host right here who's going to say some soft nothing comments in order to try and set Justin Trudeau up to not embarrass himself in the next answer.
But at Gen Squeeze, when we talk about that theme, we refer to housing should be for homes first and investment second.
Of course.
And it's quite a cultural shift in Canada, though, for us to actually think that we don't want home prices to rise really any longer. In fact, for the next many, many years, it would be great if they minimally stalled so that people's earnings would have a chance to catch up. But that is a mental shift. That's a mental model shift, and it requires asking an older demographic to come on board with that. Now, I think you were
It literally doesn't require asking an older demographic to do anything. It requires asking Justin Trudeau, the man to your direct right, to put a cap on immigration, to make there to be less artificial incentives to immigrate to Canada when there's no houses that are available. This is so patronizing. And I love, like, this is pretty much it. I don't really need to go into the video further. You guys kind of get the point. I love this pretentious camera angle. Like, we're gonna go watch all of the people watching the interview. So I'm trying to get back to this one cut they made. It's hard to find this pinpointed, but like where they're like showing everyone sitting in the crowd, really doing a big think about housing and about the solutions that we can all collectively come up with to just ask older Canadians to pay a little bit more so that people can actually live in their own house for a change. Sorry, I'm trying to find this ridiculous camera angle. I hate stuff like this. It's like meant to invoke this idea that, like, you know, look at all these people really contributing to the conversation because they're watching these guys do this ridiculous interview. I cannot find this anymore. Okay, but you got my point. You guys remember what I just looked at a second ago. But these people are so disconnected from reality. And even with these just delusional fools asking Justin Trudeau softball questions, he still ends up describing himself as the problem without ever actually being able to figure it out. He then tries to pivot to say it's capitalism's fault, and the idiot interviewing him then says, oh, no, it's actually older Canadians just not getting it. Guys, housing used to be cheap because you weren't having to compete with 60 other people to purchase every house on the market. That's the big problem today, and it's not complicated. It's the government shouldn't be artificially trying to increase or decrease supply and demand. They should just let it go. Basic economics 101. But that's too complicated for these guys. Anyways, that should be it for me today, guys. If you want to donate to my legal fund, it's in the description below in the Give, Send, Go link. And you guys can also sign up on my website if you want local political recommendations for nominations, provincial and federal elections that I can give you in your area. If there's an interesting election going on in your area, I can pinpoint emails to a few of you at a time in order to let you know about good candidates in your area, good initiatives, good movements you can jump on board with. And maybe I never end up emailing you because there's nothing interesting going on in your area, or I don't know much about, like, you know, Northwest Territories politics. But I'll generally try to keep you guys in the loop on what's going on in your in these sort of like these communities with significant races going on. So you can go check out that link to my website, wyattclaypool.com, also in the description below the donation link. Have a good one, everyone. I'll see you in my next video.